Hello, welcome to the Alpha and Omega Health Podcast.
I'm Dr. Tri Myers.
And I'm Dr. Rachel Myers.
All right.
And
what are we talking about this month?
Well, I apologize for us not having anything last month, but it was somebody's big 4-0.
See the gray, see the hair. Dang, what happened? Thanks, Granddad.
Anyway, so this month, actually for the next 3 months, our offices are supporting the Wounded Warriors project. Yeah,
it was something interesting. Like a stat I saw that was that came out said that 30% of active duty and reserve military personnel coming back have some type of they need mental health treatment. The bad thing is they said only half of those actually get the treatment. So worst case scenario, of course, is suicide rate. And they have 20 veterans actually commit suicide every day. So this is something very serious that we want to talk about. We definitely have a soft heart for the service community and what they do for our country and our freedoms. Coming from someone from my family's in the military, brothers in the military now. So yeah, we have a soft heart for them and what they go through and the sacrifices they make. So that's why we want to talk about this a little bit more serious at the front end, but hopefully we can try to get to some treatment about how we can help.
So first thing I just wanted to talk about is this crazy stat from 1999 to 2014, the amount of antidepressants actually increased by 64%. And it increased from 12-year-olds and up, which is just wild to think about. And the most common antidepressants that people are taking are SSRIs. That's like Zoloft, Prozac, those sorts of things.
Sure.
And the side effects are just crazy. So trouble sleeping.
Sure.
When you don't sleep, how are you, Tri?
I'm irritable, angry, need the Snickers commercial kind of a thing. Give me something.
Exactly. The people also can experience nervousness, tremors.
Imagine that would give you some anxiety, I would imagine, right?
Yeah. And I have had patients that have come in never having tremors before, and then you can noticeably tell because their bodies just twitch.
Yep.
Actually, our son, when he initially came to be in our family, he was on antidepressant.
Yep.
And just when he would just lay against us, he would twitch like crazy.
Yep.
He thankfully is no longer on them, but that definitely is something.
We could talk a little bit about how we helped him through that journey too at the end.
And then also sexual problems.
Yeah.
Yes, I said the sex word.
Our daughter's going to be like, I don't want to hear it.
So anyway, obviously, I would assume most people would rather try to do things naturally than even go down the route of these side effects. Because honestly, you're more likely to have these side effects when you're taking these medications. So we wanted to talk about ways that you can, that chiropractic can actually help with depression.
Sure. Yeah, and it was interesting. I was pulling up another stat where it was talking about, like, of course, we've been through the fun COVID. So I think they were talking about in the past 12 months, and this was a recent study, they've had a 41% increase in anxiety, 39% increase in stress, depressive state. It was a 30% increase, social loneliness and isolation, 30% or 28%, which is a little lower than what I thought. Sadness, like panic attacks, like everything was a drastic increase than compared to prior COVID times. So we're still dealing with the ramifications of, lockdowns and all that other jazz and being isolated from schools and people just working from home, being interactive, and it's caused a big thing for the mental health community. So
kind of to go off of that, we're going to go more into the spinal ramifications of COVID, since you brought those stats up. I have seen more young children with actual humps, and I think in other podcasts we've talked about this, the little Dowager hump right on the back of their neck. But all that to say, all those stats that you just said, when our necks start to go forward, we're causing a lot of stretch to the cervical spine and to the brainstem. And do you know what joint mechanoreceptors are?
I think I remember that from school.
Yeah.
Should I say it?
Yes, please do.
Okay, cool.
You're so smart.
Whatever. So joint mechanoreceptors, all they are is, so you have one bone and another bone. That space in between it, you have little teeny receptors, little nerve sensors in between it. So whenever it moves, compresses, stretch, it sends that signal to the brain, and that way the brain can figure out what it needs to do to stop the movement, stabilize what's going on, just as a communication area. So the more joint mechanoreceptors you have, the more sensitive, the more important it is for the brain to know what's going on.
And do you know where it's the most dense?
Ooh, I would say closer to the brain and the head.
Oh, yeah, that's why an atlas adjustment is so amazing.
Who does all the atlas work?
This girl.
That's kind of cool.
Any chiropractor can adjust the atlas.
True. But you specialize in that.
We specialize in atlas orthogonal, and so yes, we do a little bit different technique. So with joint mechanical? That darn mechanics. With joint mechanoreceptors, they are going to be sending those signals to the brain. And so actually there was a study that was done, goodness, when was this done?
Neuroscience Discovery?
Yeah, it was Neuroscience Discovery. I don't know when this one was put out. Oh, it was 2020. And they actually were looking at how with people that have depression, the left lobe of their brain is more
it's inhibited.
And then the right lobe of the brain is more excited.
Yep.
And so they specifically were looking at the craniocervical junction, which would be right where that atlas is.
So you got your cranial, skull head.
Skull head.
Skull head.
That's what it's called.
Cervical is a neck, so where your skull and your neck come together.
Yeah. Craniocervical junction, and they found that whenever you adjust a patient, which this is what is this specifically called? Whenever you're adjusting on one side and it affects the brain on the other,
like you're tuning like a hemisphere adjustment. So actually, if you want to look up the article, it's called "Depression and the Craniocervical Junction: A Look at the Hemispheric Model."
So it is the hemispheric model, but basically, if I was to give an adjustment on the right side of the neck, that affects the left side of the brain.
So it would stimulate that mechanoreceptor.
It stimulates the mechanoreceptors.
That's a hard word.
Yes, and in the left side of the brain, which the left side being dampened, it would actually help that to start functioning and become more balanced.
Yep.
They found that honestly, because not everybody's going to have a atlas misalignment on the right side, but they still found that statistically speaking, everyone did improve as far as their depression. The people that had the right side misalignments and got the adjustment on the right side, it actually improved their depression more.
Yep.
So
it'd be kind of cool to like look and see chicken before the egg kind of thing. To be like, hey, did that subluxation start causing the actual decrease input or firing of that side of the hemisphere of the brain? Which is pretty interesting, but
I would probably say too, even though they might have gotten a left side adjustment and it did help with their depression. I mean, think about it. If you hurt and you're in pain and you are finally out of pain, that kind of changes your mood anyway.
100%.
I know for me, when my atlas is out, I do not sleep.
Yeah.
And so just like you were saying, like you become more irritable.
Yep.
Yeah, your mood totally changes. So that could have been some of those changes there too.
100%.
All to say, the adjustment, that craniocervical adjustment, really was a game changer in people's moods and attitudes. And that was the cool little way of explaining it, the technical way of explaining it.
So it's pretty cool. Like I know we've done different podcasts in the past about like breathing or nutrition or etc. It's pretty cool because pretty much if you are having hopefully a holistic chiropractic mindset of your mind, your body, everything kind of like working together, you just can't really separate the two. Just like Rachel's saying, if you have physical issues, it's going to start wearing down on your mental state. Then sometimes if you have mental stresses, it will actually manifest into physical
stuff.
So people come in like, well, I'll start palpating their neck, kind of feeling what's going on. And like, man, your neck is jacked up and super stiff and tight. And I'm like, man, it's been a very hard week. This happened at work or this happened at home or whatever. So we always kind of joke around like, oh, we should start charging people for some like counseling or something like that, because they automatically kind of pour out what's going on in their life because of the manifestation of the mental affecting their physical.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's a big correlation. So that's why chiropractic is great to kind of help with that physical, and then it helps stimulate the brain, which will help the mental. But also just having your body in the proper alignment will allow the hormones to work correctly.
Yep.
And if your hormones are working right, it can help with a lot of inflammation issues and the feeling of being happy and, satisfied kind of a thing.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, we get patients that come in all the time that are grouchy and just not pleasant to be around. But then as they continue with their care and they become more stable with their adjustments and not in as much pain,
Yep.
they are just the best patients and the most enjoyable ones.
Yep.
Because they see the blessing that has occurred.
This was a very specific one to what Rachel really specializes in for the upper cervical stuff. You also have other receptors in the body. So you have joint mechanoreceptors pretty much everywhere in the body, anywhere that has a joint.
Any joint.
But then the muscle spindle fibers, so it's like hand movements, the little sensors in the muscles and tendons there's a lot of them in the extremities, and it tells the body, the brain, what's going on in space, and I'm grabbing stuff and whatever. So that's why we always do a lot of rehab, strength-based exercises, and that's where she was talking about like getting exercise and moving around actually helps stimulate people's moods and feel better, etc. So we have a nice little combination of joint mechanoreceptors with the adjustments, and then a little bit more stimulation with movement of your body.
Right.
So, and then hopefully you have a good drink of water, anti-inflammatory type diet, like eat stuff that's not so processed and everything like that.
Yep.
Feels better, keeps your inflammation low. Come in and see us. We would love to help you kind of go through this journey, how doing the chiropractic lifestyle can help you with your physical
health.
Manifestations of some of the mental issues. Now, we're not taking the place of any mental health counselor or coach or anything like that. If you truly have an issue, you need to go get help. I mean, because those stats are pretty important. You need help. And it's
This
not
is a
something.
great way to just supplement what
100%.
you already
Should
do.
be used in conjunction with it. So you will get, always think of like, we always go back to teeth. It's an easy analogy. People understand that of like, you go to the dentist, you get your work done, and then they tell you like, brush your teeth, floss, etc. until I see you next. That's the whole point. Like, we want to have things that are going to help improve what the doctor did at that point until the next time. Same thing when you go to your mental health doctor. You go in there, get some stuff, working through some things. You come in here, get moving, feeling better, etc. So hopefully by the time it's improving every little lifestyle thing in your life. So.
Yeah. So if you are interested in getting some chiropractic care, of course, we're in Sanford and Apex, North Carolina.
Yep.
So you can give us a call, Ammons Chiropractic or Omega Chiropractic, or reach out to a chiropractor in your area.
100%. So
Very
also
important.
check out Wounded Warriors. They're great. Like I said, we're going to leave some information about what they do. And yeah.
Until next time, I hope you will own
Your health and wellness. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
I don't believe anymore. No, I don't feel anymore. I just feel alone. And when my hope is gone, what do